Hello everybody, welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today's episode is going to be 1 out of 3 in a new data pack series about creating a custom item. This episode that you're watching right now will be about getting the item itself with a name and item tags, everything like that. Episode 2 will be about creating a resource pack with a custom texture for your item and using custom model data. And then episode 3 will be about making your item have custom abilities. Like in my case, I'll be making it so that when I crouch with my item, it will summon lightning a few blocks ahead of me. I'll be making a custom sword, which, as I just said, will summon lightning a few blocks ahead of me. And yeah, that's about the series overview. I'll include an icon in the corner above to the playlist with all the videos. So yeah, I'll be using MCStacker to make the custom item because it's just way easier than writing it all in a command line. So yeah, let's head over to MCStacker.net, the link on screen and in the description below, to start making a command. Once you go to MCStacker.net, you should see something like this. MCStacker is a command generator that generates commands for Minecraft for you. As you can see here, this is all the lists of things we can do. I'll be using give, but quickly, if you're using not the latest version of Minecraft, you can click versions here and select the version you're using. I'm going to be using the give command to get the item, so I'll do /give. So then you can select what the select is. I'm not gonna do anything with this. I'm just going to click the H to hide it, and then give item. This is the main area. So here we can choose from a drop-down menu of all of these items, which is, I'm pretty sure, every item in the game. But because I don't want to scroll through that to get a sword, I'll just go to the filter, and here you can select what items you want to be in there. So I'll just use sword. You can see it defaulted to iron sword, but I can select from the options. I'll make it a diamond sword. Okay, so now that we've selected what item, we'll see a bunch of new options. Now, these options change depending on the item. So like if I instead a chest here, you can see I have the options to set all of the items, the lock, the chest name, the loot table, all of which are not available if I do like leather or something. So I'll go back to sword and select my diamond sword, and this is just the generic items. I have name, lore. These are two important ones that I'll be using. Damage, which is how much durability the item has taken. Repair cost is how much XP it costs to repair the item. Unbreakable, whether the item it can be broken with durability if it runs out. Count, how many of the item. Custom model data. This lets you set a special texture without overriding a texture. I'll talk about this more in the second video. I'll just ignore this for now. Custom tags are identifiers for an item. Can place on and can destroy is for adventure mode. I haven't done much with these. I'll just be ignoring this since you can't even place a sword. Hide flags is what you want to hide from the item info. So if I go to like Minecraft and search for sword, you can see I can, this is just this basic info, but if we add like an enchantment, so so if I just take a sword and then then slash enchant. Then you can see that it shows the enchantments. We can, like, for instance, hide that with the hide modifiers. Enchantments, which is enchantments just what it sounds like. And then modifiers, which are very interesting. I'll get to those later in the video. But the two I haven't talked about is name and lore. These are just what it sounds like. Or I guess lore isn't, but name is the item name, like if you were to rename it an anvil, except you can add some styling to it. And then lore is like the description of the item. It doesn't appear in the vanilla game, but like almost every server will use lore to add like a description to the item. I'll show these off in a sec. So now that I've explained kind of what all of them do, it's time to make the item. I'll start off by giving it a name. Here you can see there's 3 different component types. Text, there's just text. Translate lets it do it for multiple languages. Keybind lets you select, make it show a key that the user has certain controls. For instance, inventory for me, I just have it to default E, but I could change it to like I, for instance. And here we have a bunch of stuff we can do. Here we can set the color. Black is a hard to read color actually. So I'll just go with red. If you want to set a custom color, you can select hex code and then select one from here, or Google hex code and paste it there. Whatever color you want. But here are the preset Minecraft colors. I'm going with red. Font. This lets you tell it what font to use. I believe there's 2 default Minecraft fonts. There's the one you see in game, which it's set to by default. Then there's some Illager font, which you can set. I don't usually use this, and you can also add your own fonts through resource packs. I'm just going to leave this blank. Under here is all the text decorations you can add. There's bold, italic, underlined, strike through, and obfuscated. I'm pronouncing that wrong, but yeah. And then if you do unset, which it's set to by default, it'll just go to the default value set by Minecraft, which is false for board, true for italic, and false for everything else. But you can set it to true or false. So if we set it to board, which I'll do, that makes the text board. Italic slants the text. I do not want that. Underline underlines the text. I do not want that. Strike through puts a line through the text. Don't want that. It's set to false by default. So I'll leave it as unset. Then obfuscated makes it all Rooney. I'll show that off later. So now we've created a fancy name here. Okay, so now lore, like I said, was the description of the item, and this is identical to name, all the syntax and stuff, except it's not set to italic by default, and its default color is purple instead of white. Other than that, it's the exact same, and setting stuff is the exact same. So, like before, in value, you put what you want the actual text to be. Put this later sword from ancient blacksmiths, or that should actually be by, not from. To seal away the darkness that plagued the land. And then, like before, we can set the color. Don't want it to be purple, or do dark green, I guess. I don't know how that'll look. Ignore fonts. I do want it to be italic this time, and I'll just ignore all of the other fields. So that's name and lore. Now damage, I ignore that Repair cost, I'll ignore that too. Unbreakable, whether you want it to be broken or not. I don't want it to be broken, so I'll set it to true. Counts, not stackable. Right, I don't want it to be stackable. Custom auto data, we'll touch on this in the next episode. Custom tag, so this is like an identifier for your item that you can, so you can separate it out from other items using commands. So so yeah, as you can see here from my autocomplete, here's the syntax. So it's name and then 1B for true or 0B for false. Obviously we want it to be 1B because it does have the custom tag. And then I'll name, I'll give it the tag of Blade of Darkness. This follows the basic rules where there's no capitals, no spaces, use dashes and underscores or whatever instead. So that's the custom tags. You'll see why these are useful in the third video. If you're going to do anything beyond giving the item, I recommend assigning the item a custom tag. Can place on and can destroy or ignore these. Hide flags, if we expand here, we can hide enchantments, modifiers, which we'll touch on later in the video. Unbreakable, so if you want to show that it's unbreakable. Can destroy, can place on. If it's dyed, which you can't dye a sword, so that doesn't apply. And hide others just hides any other field. So I'll just select hide others. And let's say I want to hide enchantments too, because I'll be setting enchantments here. So here you can see we have show all, glint only, which just gives it the look of an enchantment, not an actual enchantment that modifies the weapon itself. And then you have all the list of enchantments that are available for the item. Show all reveals all enchantments in the game, even if they're not compatible with that item. I will give my sword, sharpness, I'll say sharpness 4, so it's a lot of damage sword. And then hide enchantments, but the user won't be able to see that it has the enchantment because I set the hide flag enchantment to 2. So I'll touch on modifiers in a second, but for now I'll just copy the box here, so you can highlight it and copy, or you can click the copy button. Then I'll go back into Minecraft, and if I try and run the command by placing it in, you can see it's red and it cut off after the lore. So this is because there's a limit to how much you can put in chat. So most of the time, if you have to make something with MCStacker, it'll probably exceed the chat character limit. So you have to use a command block or datapacks, since those don't have a character limit. The command in it. So I'll click the button, and you can see I just got the sword. I'm actually going to turn command block output false so we don't see that in chat. Okay, there we go. And now I have my sword. If this chat message would go away, please. Thank you. You can see it's named Blade of Eternal Darkness in bold red text. Now, in the inventory, if we hover over it, here we see the name. You can see the lore that I set, which is like the description. It's italic and dark green, and you can see that it hides the fact that it has the sharpness enchantment. It still glows. So yeah, here you have a core custom item that you can use, but there are 2 things I want to touch on, which is making your name and lore more complicated and the modifiers. I'm back in MCStacker. And then I just thought I wanted to focus on making the name more complicated, which is what I'll talk about. So what I want to do is make it so that there are symbol or obfuscated symbols before and after the Blade of Eternal Darkness. So I need to set this as true, except if I do that, then I can't have this. So I'll show you how to add multiple parts to a name, I guess. So if we click this part, it adds a new section. So I'm going to create 2. You can use this arrows to change between sections. These curved arrows move the section that you're currently on over. So I want my main name to be in section 2. Now if I go over 1, there's section 1, it's empty. Section 3, it's empty. So in section 1, I said I wanted it to be obfuscated, which I do. Don't want it to be italic, and I don't want it to be any of these other things. I still want it to be red though, and I'll set the value to 3 dashes just because you can't see it when it's obfuscated because it's so jumbled. So I'll do the same thing here. Okay, now I'll recopy my command, go back into Minecraft, head over to my command block, paste a new command, run the command block to get the new item, and as you can see there, it has the jumbly text in front and after the name, which is what obfuscated is, but it's not bold and it's still red, and the style is separated from the main name. Let's quickly talk about modifiers here. So if I open up the menu, blah blah blah, UUID, a button, this will add it. So let's click this. I'm going to make it so that when you hoard my custom item, it will make you faster. But there's a bunch of things you can do here. What this really does is it just modifies a attribute that your player has. So we go into Minecraft and do /attribute to modify an attribute. Choose @self. There's a bunch of values here. Or do attack damage, or if I say base, and if I get it, you can see it's defaulted to 1, but then I can set it to 4, or actually 400. Then if I can find a mob of some sort somewhere, you can see I just did 400 damage. So I'm going to change the speed, but there's a ton of values. You can change health, follow range, that's something that applies to zombies, how far they can follow people. Knockback resistance is your resistance to knockback. Movement speed is how fast you go. Attack damage, how much damage. Armor, how much armor you have by default. I'm not sure what armor toughness is actually. Attack speed is how fast you can attack. And luck is on. It's used to generate what's inside a chest or what's inside a loot table. The higher the luck, the better loot you'll get. So I'm changing movement speed. I'll set this to what's the default? Let's see. So let's go into Minecraft, do /attribute, not advancement. Okay, and as you can see, speed is by default 0.1, so I'll set it to 0.5 to times 5. The speed operation is how you want to do math on it. So amount just sets it. Multiplicative multiplies your amount times what's already there, and percentage takes that much percentage. I'm just going to set the amount. Slot is what slot you want this to happen in. So I'll set it to any since I want it to happen in all slots, but you can make it so that this only happens if it's in like your offhand or something. The UUID is just a identifier for the attribute. No two attributes can have the same UUID. MCStacker will automatically generate a random one for you. Now, I will warn you that you probably want to, or you want to click hide modifiers under flags when you do this, but just for the sake of example, I'm not going to. So if I copy that, go back into Minecraft here, paste this, click the button, have my item, and yeah, I just sped up a ton. So that's the speed modifier at work, but if I don't have it in my hand, I don't speed up a ton. But yeah, that is the modifiers, and I said before that you should always hide the modifiers from the item description area. That's because they take up a bunch of room in the description here. So you can see that most of the description area is taken up by it, because it lists out what happens when it's in it. Maybe if you only have it for like your main hand and want to tell the user that, you could say that, or leave it be. But I recommend just putting it in the lore box, if you want to inform the user, just because it takes up so much room. But that's modifiers, which concludes part 1 of this 3-episode series. I hope you enjoyed or it was informative for you. Shout out to MCStacker.net. It's a really cool website, and it's really helpful for when you're making data packs or command block contraptions, or whatever you might use commands for. It's useful for a lot more than just giving items. I also use it for summoning mobs, but I can do a bunch more, and simpler things. But yeah, so like the video, subscribe, and hopefully you come back for the next episode. I'll put the playlist at the end card. But yeah, goodbye.